everybody, welcome. This is a quick list. We are doing something very, very different. We're doing the not breaking news. In a moment, we're going to start off here where we're going to do a newscast. And we have all written material for each of the other actors to perform. And the idea is no one is supposed to break and laugh or even give a full smile. If that happens, a point will be added to their total. And whoever has the most points at the end of this half hour or so will be the loser. We won't know exactly who that is yet because we won't be able to count while it's going on. Sean is probably definitely going to lose. And it'll be more a race to see who comes in second.
Sean's losing right now.
Yeah. But so just so you know the parts, Jesse is going to be an anchor. I'm a co-anchor. We've got Michael Haycock on sports. We've got Sean Sweeney in the weather basement. And Jason Wild reporting live in the field somewhere in a war zone or something going on. So as we get ready, again, this is something we haven't tried before. We're going to see how this goes.
Hello and welcome back to the Not Breaking News on KQWS. Thank you for joining us today. I am Jesse, and this is my co-anchor, Bob.
Good afternoon. I'm on
you have
TV.
A scripted line, Bob Bador.
I'm on TV.
Yes. Now on for our next story. When you think of Independence Day, you might just think of the usual things. Fireworks, America, hot dogs. But if the 4th of July makes you think of a bottle of red UV vodka, a stolen shopping cart from Walmart with blood on it, Macaulay Culkin, and you go by the name Gundrop, then you need to call me because I lost your number and the cops are asking questions.
Sounds like fun. Sounds like you had a good time there, Jesse. The results of many Father's Day genealogy tests are coming back this week, and many are finding out that they are not the father. Our news team also took the test and realized I am, in fact, Jesse's old daddy-o.
And that's great news, Pop Pop. Now it's not creepy when we swing for hours and then play Stinky Touch out back.
Glad I can keep playing Stinky Touch with my baby boy.
Right-to-o, Dadamundo. In other news, me fart and me like.
Agreed.
In other news, Mario, beloved video game character, was caught on camera saying, "I can beat a Knuckles," the Sonic character, in a fight to the death, and I can, kiss anyone's mama, without getting my, mustache wet. Luigi simply responded by saying, "Wah!"
That was more of a Waluigi sound, but nice going. Sounds like things are getting heated. Speaking of heat, the 1995 Michael Mann movie Heat, starring Say Hello to My Little Friend Robert De Niro, Forget About It, Val Kilmer, and Welcome to Jurassic Park, Al Pacino, is getting backlash after the TV spinoff based in Miami got shut down. CBS spokesperson said no one thinks the show Miami Heat will be successful, not even in Miami.
This just in. And that just out.
Bees have knees, and they indeed sneeze. And never say please, Febreze. Eat fresh.
Looks like it's time for someone else to talk. But before that, time for us to try out some new catchphrases. Bob?
Thank you. Catch you tomorrow, just like I caught two.
Never snooze the news.
As always, good night, and say no to night demons.
Oh boy, you just saw the news.
You can't see me when I close my eyes. Or should I say, I don't see you.
Bong.
Good night. And if you dream tonight, let's dream meet up at the Megaplex on State.
I read the reviews about our news, and Queen 89 had just one thing to say. No. And with that, I will send things over to my co-host, Bob Bador. Bob?
Thank you, Jesse. A new world record has been set today by a man in Columbus, Ohio, Alex Chappie Esperanza, who was inducted into Guinness World Records for the furthest distance launching a turd, defecated into a toilet from almost half a mile away. Chappie rocks a booty cannon loaded with colon clay, and he is not afraid to use it. Why is he called Chappie? Because of his apple red baboon bottom. And when that butt bazooka is loaded with a live boom boom, the magic in the air is electric. Esperanza says that one record will likely not affect the way he lives his life, stating, quote, "I'm just a simple guy with a dream in his heart and a dookie in his shooter." Inspiring words. That was
Thanks, Bob. That is indeed an uplifting story.
Yeah, that was really makes you feel good in these trying times to know that someone's out there still trying to do good in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, and that reminds me, with that record, there was some things going on in the sports world. And for sports, let's send it over to our sports anchor, Michael Haycock.
Hey, earlier today, we had the finals of the state 5A high school basketball finals between the Westview Warriors and our own Mycock Minutemen. This was a rematch of game 6 weeks ago when the Minutemen defeated the Warriors in a thrilling double overtime barn burner. Let's remember how those two teams got here. The Westview Warriors handed it to the Midtown Bombers, and the Miners of Brigham found Mycock too much to handle. This time, Mycock started strong and prevented the Warriors' defense again and again. Mycock was scoring at will, and the defense was just as strong as the offense. The crowd really came alive and cheered every time Mycock stiffened and swatted the Warriors' balls out of the air. But after a quick start, Mycock soon ran out of energy and just couldn't stand up to the Warriors' onslaught. Soon the Warriors were pounding Mycock on both sides of the court and took home the state championship. Head coach Steve Travers took the loss hard, saying, "I really thought we had it, but in the second half, Mycock ran out of steam, and at the end of the night, Mycock was not only beaten, but humiliated." Back to you.
Too bad for the Mycock boys. Time to check weather from the weather basement. It's Sean Sweeney.
Sean Sweeney.
Thanks, Jesse. Thanks, Bob. I want to take a moment to touch on the climate change crisis of our planet is facing. Scientists earlier this year found an island of plastic in the Pacific Ocean, naming it the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, or GPGP. Scientists estimate that it roughly covers an estimated surface of 1.6 square kilometers, or approximately 3 times the size of my headphones. Due to the seasonal and interannual variabilities of wind and currents, the GPGP's location and shape, much like my malignant genitalia, are constantly changing. There is currently a cleanup underway using an invention designed by Boyan Slout, not a fake name. Slout designed a screen system that passively catches debris before it sinks too deeply. It's also known as Sean Sweeney's shitty beard system, keeping that debris from affecting life too far below the surface. Not that there's much anything lively going down under Sean. That's me. Back to you.
Thank you, Sean. And let's hope that scientists get to the bottom of both the garbage patch and your terrible beard.
Hear, hear.
And with that,
speaking of terrible beards,
we are receiving input that our man on the field, Jason Wild, is reporting to us. Jason, what have you got?
Thanks, Sean. You're my best friend. I'm here at Improv Con, the introvert convention, and even though it's practically silent, it is popping right now. There are tons of celebrity guest panels who are going to be here tonight, but couldn't because of prior commitments or sudden family emergencies. Almost every single booth here is a replica of the back corner of a room, a backyard where people are smoking, or extra bathrooms. Most come well equipped with a pet that you can use to ignore everyone else. I've tried flirting with several people here and no one has taken the old razzle-dazzle. I feel I bring to these kind of interviews. I walk up to them and give them my best pickup line. "Hey, are you alone? If so, that's right up my alley. Almost everyone we interviewed about the convention asked not to be on camera and wouldn't make direct eye contact with me. In other news, downtown, underage drinking has become a problem for local barkeeps as the trend for children to dress in trench coats and sit on one another's shoulders to pretend to be tall people has become rampant once again. When asked about it, the barkeep told reporters that with so many tall people in trench coats, it's hard to tell which ones are 3 children and which ones are just local librarians. You see, librarians like to wear trench coats because improvises why librarians like to wear trench coats. And that's why I think every ID needs to be checked out. Back to you, Jesse. I love you.
I'm sorry, Jason. Did I hear that you were to improvise a reason behind librarians wearing trench coats?
Yes, that's what I did. But if you'd like to hear it again, the reason librarians wear trench coats is to protect their spines.
That
Thank
makes
you so
perfect
much.
sense.
That was Jason Wild in the field. Our top story tonight. Turns out aliens are real and they hate us? More on that at 11. But first, holding hands. What is too little and what is too much? My totally real girlfriend and I have been holding hands a lot lately, and she says my hands are clammy and gross. To which I replied, damn it, bruh. You know I only wash my hands with clam chowder. You always do this when we're at Chili's. Now order some of dem apps, girl. More on that also at 11. But first, statues are spooky. And when you're alone and look at them, they move. I saw it. It was at my house, and I have a statue of myself. I saw it move, and no one believes me, but it definitely is true. It moved, and I can't go into my study alone now. See, what happened was I went into my study when I was quite drunk in the middle of the night. I stumbled in there and fell over when my flip-flops caught the corner of my desk. But luckily, strong arms were there to catch me, preventing me from hurting myself. I look up, and what face do I see? Why, it's my own, but etched into marble. It's spooky. It's so spooky. Spooky, 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 spooky. Many spooky. It's pretty spooky. It's the spookiest thing. Spooky, scary skeleton statues are cement skeleton spooky statues. More on that at 11. But first, a new trend has come out with the teenagers called barreling. Essentially, you get a barrel, then you put one of your friends inside of it. You then yell, Donkey Kong, and you roll them down a hill. This trend has many parents worried. I, for one, find it amusing and hope it continues. But then again, we'll cover more of that at 11.
Sounds like another Pulitzer Prize for you, Jesse. That was some dang good reporting.
Thank you. I went to school.
What was the name of that of your totally real girlfriend again?
Barbara.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Good. All right. Well, thank you again as always, Jesse.
All right. And now I will send it once again over to my co-host, Bob Bador.
Thank you, Jesse. Mere weeks ago, conspiracy theorists rejoiced as the U.S. government seemingly out of nowhere declassified several documents alluding to their awareness of the very real presence of UFOs. Just like you were saying, Jesse, they are real. And for once in my life, I'm extremely excited and pleased about the untimely release. And believe me, I've had my share of untimely releases. The news hits particularly close to home as I myself have long suspected the reality of UFOs. Let me paint a picture. Roswell, New Mexico, 1947. I was just a young man of 35 at the time. I witnessed the crash of an object that was later described as a weather balloon. I knew that to be impossible, as weather balloons were an invention of my own creation several years later. When I voiced my disbelief, I was held at gunpoint by the military. To get out of it, I did things that day that I thought I never would. Vile, disgusting things. When I finished, and I finally released, when I was finally released by the military police, they looked me in the eye and said, "Good God, sir, please, for the last time, move along. This is just a checkpoint." Finally, with this release of documents, I can live down the horrible things I visited upon myself that day, despite the protest of onlookers. And for that, U.S. government, I thank you. Those were chilling times back then. Kind of good to get it off my chest. Speaking of getting things off his chest, let's go to sports with Michael Haycock.
Big news in the world of basketball today as Shaquille O'Neal came out of the athletic retirement to play a one-on-one basketball game against the challenger, Aaron Carter. It was an epic clash to say the least. It was like boom, he put it in the hoop, like slam. I heard the crowd screaming out, jam. I swear, I'm just telling you the facts. Aaron Carter, AC, played Shaq. Unfortunately for O'Neal, the ref issued him a penalty when he placed Aaron Carter on his head like a tiny yellow hat. And Miley yelled, "This is Shaq Attack Part 2, the Shaqening." What followed was a 9-minute interpretive dance that ended with the score tied 3-3. When asked to comment, Aaron Carter said nothing because hats don't talk. There were several fatalities. Back to you.
Thanks, Michael, and I'm glad to hear that Aaron Carter is finally doing stuff again.
Michael, I believe that there was no video of that 9-minute interpretive dance, but that you were able to follow a little bit of it and could do a bit of that for us right now.
Of course. I witnessed the dance, and it was Aaron Carter was on his hat, and it was just kind of a. If you imagine the dance to Anna Tefka on Fiddler on the Roof, it was a lot like that.
That's exactly the way I imagined it. We seem to have lost our anchor. But that's all right, because we're about to go over to the weather basement where Sean Sweeney is set to report in. Sean?
That's right, Bob. Glad to see Shaq's doing stuff again. I'm sorry I can't do this. As many of you know, last week I proposed to my girlfriend, who just so happens to be named Wendy, and I thought she was just being coy and waiting to answer, but it turns out that she doesn't want me in her life anymore. It seems like she'd rather get her weather and everything else from Channel 4's Stormy Gaines. Stormy, I don't think that's a real name, and I know it's not his real hair. Wendy will find out pretty quickly, stupid Stormy and his fake hair. Wendy, please come back home. I promise I won't leave my socks and underwear on the floor, and I'll cut my D&D nights down to just 2 nights a week. I'll even promise to stop inviting your friends to my improv shows. Just please, please, please come home. We can put marriage on hold for now. I just really need my big spoon back. Okay, so Tropical Storm Windy, it could be a problem. I'd cancel any plans for outdoors this weekend. Back to you, Jesse and Bob.
Thank you, and I'm super glad to hear that Wendy is doing stuff again. And with that, it looks like it's up. We're receiving more input from our man in the field.
All right, it's time to go back to our ace field reporter. Jason is at the scene. Jason, you still owe me money.
Thank you. As many of you know, I have reported stories from all over the nation, from extreme weather, conditions, to protests, to a deep dive into the world of Beyblade underground death rings. And my personal favorite, when I experimented with runes and got that nipple piercing that looks like a potato, made me start to think. That thinking leads to a realization, and that realization is that I have never reported on the most important field in regards to myself. And that field is my body.
How are things looking, Jason?
All is not well inside.
Tell us more.
Imagine a goat and a baby duck experimenting with Jell-O. And that's how my body is inside right now. On the outside, one nip is always soft, the other one's always hard. But they switch whenever I think about horses and eat at a Royal Red Robin. And my chest hair got all tangled with the wheels of a mini RC car while my kids were playing Drive Over Daddy.
That sounds very rough, Jason.
Not nearly as tough as my stools. Last night I drank 2 shots of Pepto 7 prunes and got back into ruins, and my poop still refused to go blop blop. What I wouldn't give for a dookie didgeridoo player to come to my house and play while I sat on my repurposed vacuum cleaner. Crank that baby to suck, and finally become pure again. Back to you.
Thank you, Jason. I hope
Thank you, Jason. Absolutely revolting.
Yeah, that's why he's out in the field and not in the studio with any of us. It's time to send it over to Jesse, where he has got a new feature. He's starting today. Jesse, take it over.
Thank you, Bob. Welcome, everyone, to a new segment I like to call Happy Movies. In this section, I will do a quick reenactment of a movie using nothing but overly silly cartoon-style voices. And sometimes it may seem like I haven't actually seen the movie, but I want you to rest assured I have seen the movie. So here we go with my Happy Movie version of The Notebook. I will play all parts in a silly voice, wrapping it up in just around 30 seconds. Oh boy, I sure do love love. Do you love love too? I certainly do love love, but I'm going to write about my love in a notebook because that's the thing that happens in this movie. Oh, I love you, famous Hollywood actor. I love you, famous Hollywood actress. Join me next week when I will be covering Schindler's List.
Can't wait for that one. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Jesse. You know, I consider you my son. Oh, hold on. I'm getting breaking news. This just in. Every cat in the world has disappeared. That's right. Every single cat in the world has gone missing. When asked about it, dogs had no comment to make at the matter at this time. With all the cats gone, many cat cafes face certain bankruptcy, as cats were the only thing charming about their shop. Now they're just a place that smells like boiled beans and cat pee. When asked about what happened, the cat cafe had this to say. Oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do without my fluffy kitty cat. No one wants to come in. Oh, wait, more news? Oh, turns out the cats were just outside. Someone left the window open and they wandered out. When asked, dogs again had no comment about the matter at this time. In other news, pop-up ads. Has enough time gone by that they're retro and they're cool again? I doubt it. Many young people are finding pop-up ads to be cool, a cool way to advertise, and many new brands are using pop-up ads ironically, which makes them cool again. When asked, dogs said that they were local milk bones in my area. Time to go back to sports again as we go back to the hard-hitting Michael Haycock.
You know what I can't wait for is the rapid-fire commentary that Michael Haycock always gives us when he runs down a play-by-play.
He truly is a verbal machine that has been well-oiled.
Thank you for the compliments, gentlemen. July 11th is the NFL great Andrew Johnson's birthday. So in his honor, I want to take a moment to run down the highlights of his greatest game of all time. A 273-yard outing against the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2012. Now, right there, yep, lined up on the 22-yard line, running a play-action, quarterback Matt Schwab tosses AJ his first catch. And he falls down, setting a tone for plays to come. Later in the first quarter, the offensive line picks up a block while Johnson went deep. Wait, hold on. Has it happened yet?
We're already in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and we're in the fourth quarter. I can't read and look at video at the same time. Jacksonville defense found Johnson to be downright unstoppable as he continued to find holes and take advantage of the weak secondary, dragging down his defensive backing. And it's a touchdown. Even backed up with their own end zone, Schwab was able to force the ball into the hands of his weapon, Johnson's effort. Thanks for ending that video. When the touchdown happened, he sealed victory for the Texans against their divisional rivals. What an outstanding day for the former Miami Hurricanes. I love sports.
Well, we could tell. You've really got a knack for talking about it, Michael.
A well-oiled machine. Thank you, Michael.
I've seen that before.
Speaking of well-oiled machines, let's go back to the crappy camera that belongs to Sean Sweeney in the weather basement.
How's it looking out there, Sean?
Thank you. Well, to quote the Beatles, here comes the sun. Do, 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 do. Here comes the sun. And I say, it's all right. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 little darling. It's been a long, cold, lonely winter, little darling. It feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Do, 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 do. Here comes the sun. I say it's all right. Well, it was earlier, but now to quote my man B.J. Thomas, raindrops keep falling on my head. And just like the guy whose feet are too big for his bed, nothing seems to fit. Those raindrops are falling on my head. They keep falling. So I just did me some talking to the sun. And I said I didn't like the way he got things done. Sleeping on the job, those raindrops are falling on my head. They keep falling. And with a rainstorm coming, if I may quote the late Garth Brooks, thunder rolls and lightning strikes. Another love grows cold on sleepless nights. And the storm blows out of control. Deep in her heart, the thunder rolls. Back to you.
Thank you, Sean. That report probably cost us about $8,000 in licensing fees.
But it is good to hear that the Beatles are doing stuff again.
Yes. I think they're dating Wendy as well.
Oh, yes. We now take you live to our man in the field, Jason Wild, with new developments. Jason, take it away.
That's right. And before I take over, I just want to say it's good to know that Sean talks to the sun, and that is how he finds out the weather. I've often wondered how he forecasts that. Yes, I left wherever the hell I was earlier and now am standing in Westminster, London, where renowned UK monarch and lifelong sex symbol Queen Elizabeth II has just finished making her address to the world. During her address, she answered many burning questions, such as, does the carpet match the drapes? Once she had concluded her talk, her jaw unhinged like a terrifying python, and she vomited out a very wet, very naked Charles, Prince of Wales. The ooey-gooey troll man waved at me personally, and then began reciting the world's worst limerick. There once was a man from Nantucket. There once was a man from Nantucket. There once was a man. That's right, a man. There once was a man from Nantucket. At one point, I got too close, and his royal goo touched my elbow. It smells like potatoes, and it does not wash off. Back to you.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you.
Jason, is that doesn't look much like London behind you there.
After I was touched by the goo, I was escorted quickly off of the property and am now in an adjacent field near war-torn Liverpool.
Ah, that would explain it. Thank you, Jason. All right, let's hit more hard-hitting news as we rush over to Jesse with a top story.
Thanks, Bob. Today's biggest news is that Governor Gary Herbert pulled the biggest switch since Michael's go-to improv character went from awkward Michael to awkward balding Michael. When Herbert called for mandatory masks in the fall for all K through 12 students in Utah, Governor Herbert said the change was motivated when he began to understand the benefits of wearing masks in schools, and it would prove the general public after realizing that masks would cover the lower halves of Bob's children's faces. Many parents are upset at the prospect of returning to school in the fall, not because of COVID-19 risks, but because their children were placed in Michael Haycock's classes. When approached for comment, Michael quickly jumped to his own defense, stuttering several unintelligible words, then pausing for a lengthy period of time while he, yet again, waited for Jesse to save the scene. In a stunning turn of events, local permanent college students and headphone connoisseur Sean Sweeney weighed in on the return to school debate, asking, if they have masks on, how will I know which ones I have to stay 50 feet away from? Thank you.
Let's kick it over to Michael with another fascinating and highly realistic sports update.
Thank you for that. And Jesse, thank you for that added insight about how people view me. Thanks, news guy. Hey, it's me, sports guy. I'm here to tell you all about the sports happening around you. The National High School Football Championship took place today. The Cougars versus the Cougars. The Cougars won. No surprise. Many concerned parents and skeptical fans have approached the high school directors, urging them to ban the use of real cougars. In response, the directors explained that once again, that they don't know how the Cougars gain sentience and are competent enough to put on football gear and run 3-4 pass rush defense, which is a thing. Three were maimed, and 2 safeties are reported missing. Go Cougars. In other sports news, a scandal has broken out on the professional mini golf this month as famous golfer Half Lemonade, Half Tea was caught using steroids for putting. When HLHT was asked about it, they said they denied the claims again. I'm banned in 4 states for playing putt-putt golf. Please don't take this away from me. I'm in deep. To which I reply, what a putts. Finally, in sports, America won another Super Bowl this year. It seems like no other country is able to win this thing. This makes America the all-time Super Bowl winner 45 times in a row. World 0, America 45. Kind of puts things into perspective because America has to deal with the Super Bowl. In many ways, the world deals with its citizens. It happens once a year, and the world is better for it. Canada, back to you.
Seems like we're missing a few Super Bowls there, Michael.
I'm sorry, did we lose some Super Bowls?
But we didn't lose any. There was just more than 45.
That is not,
I think,
accurate.
Right.
Several more than 45.
You don't count the Super Bowls that happened when the Seahawks won.
That's fair enough.
That's true. I had forgotten about those. Thank you for the correction, Michael.
That's why you're the sports guy. Now let's go over to the weather guy, where Sean Sweeney is ready to wrap up our weather forecast.
Sean Sweeney with the weather. How is it looking, my man?
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Jesse. A low-pressure front is sweeping it into our area. Will bring rain over the next few days. It's going to be all wet and wild and wet. I'm going to be so moist. I'll be a silly little soggy moist boy. My shoes will squish when I walk, and I'll be making mad drips. Once the breeze picks up, I'll be a chilly little moist boy. So chilly. My rock-hard nips are sure to rip my poor shirt to shred. Then I'll have no shirt. I'll be a silly, soggy, drippy, squishy, shirtless little moist boy. The very thought of makes eye rain. It's like crying, but with clouds. The clouds are my eyebrows. That's a 7-day forecast. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that, Sean. Thank you.
All right, I think it's time to just, we got one more chance to check out what's going on with Jason out in the field. Jason, you there, buddy?
Yeah, hey guys. As you know, the station likes to send me out to do some fun human interest pieces, and I'm really excited to let you know that next week I'll be reporting all week from FantasyCon, taking place at the Convention Center. In fact, the station will have a booth there, and I'll be playing the role of the bridge troll, asking fans various riddles to win prizes. Here, I'll give you an example. Jesse, let's pretend that you came up to the booth, and I'm going to ask you a riddle. But to make it even more fun, I'm going to use my bridge troll voice. Here goes. I'll ask the first question. Oh, well, welcome to the booth. If you've got beans and no meat and want some food but something not sweet, what would it be?
I am going to go with beans.
That's correct. Now for my next riddle, it will be a little limerick. You'll have to answer with a rhyme as well. There once was a man from old Ogden town. When he wet his pants, he would make a frown. But when you paid him a nickel, go ahead and finish.
When you paid him a nickel, gave him an icicle, he'd poop in his pants, they'd turn brown.
Classic old Ogden town limerick. So next week, look for me at FantasyCon and see if you can get some of my special treasures. Back to
We
you.
sure will, Jason. I hope you make your way out of Liverpool in time to get back here for FantasyCon.
So do I.
I'm indifferent to whether or not you return at all.
I think that wraps it up for tonight's KQWS live news report. It's
From
time-
everyone here at Not Breaking News, we hope you have a pleasant evening.